Portrait synergy.
Flava Flav on on the side of Pepperidge Farms. Remembers that's pretty
Yeah,
awesome.
boy. Sorry, I
It's
did the
okay.
Flavor Flav thing.
It's okay.
Hardwood.
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 Yep. All right, guys. The map is going to be Infernal Shrines. The draft has started. Hashtag Believe has the first ban. And remember, this season's kind of cool, kind of different because the away team actually gets a little bit of stuff too. Even though they don't get first pick, first ban, they get map choice now. So there is some added strategy in that as well.
And that's just coin flip for a placement game, right? Like there's no if you're in a placement game, you don't there's no like prior seeding or anything
No,
affecting
I
that.
believe it's coin flip.
Yeah. That has been a topic of discussion in the competitive scene. The good old coin flip and first
Yeah,
pick and that whole
it
mess.
has. There's no good evidence throughout all the regions though that first pick first ban gives any sort of advantage because NA it's a little less, but Korea it's a little more. Um, so we have Sylvanas and Falstad as our bans. Not too surprising. Sylvanas incredibly strong on this map, and Falstad incredibly
Oof.
strong in general. But hashtag Believe says, all right, we'll go with the next best thing and grab our Kerrigan. And Josh, I would expect a Q build.
Yeah, on Infernal Shrines, this character has been viable for a long time, but honestly, recently she's sort of been everywhere. The Zerg swarm is everywhere, and so is Kerrigan, it seems. But yeah, like a Q build is quite possible. I'm hoping mostly for the new skin because that
Mm-hmm.
is slick.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, the
yeah,
new skin is incredible. I really hope we see play. Pepperidge Farms remembers answers with Thrall.
a lot of early Thrall picks tonight. Very interesting. I mean, obviously he's a good all-around ranged assassin, but it feels so early. And we're gonna get Thrall Johanna. So she's got an improvement recently, baking that Nitex's Pawn into her Condemn.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, her other level one talents are kind of like they're not high impact. They're not the same kind of impact that Nitex's Pawn was. So it's a nice little additional thing, but none of those are like game changers at this point.
She feels so much better with my Night Takes Pawn.
Yes,
Just
yes, for
being
sure.
built in. It just, you don't get the stun anymore that you used to out of it. But
All right,
at the
yeah.
same time, it's still a very strong talent and it feels really good.
Yeah. And we're going to have a very early Rhaegar here for hashtag believe. So pairing that with the Kerrigan, looking to keep her alive through the onslaught that is inevitably
Yep.
going to come their way.
Plus Lightning
And
Shield.
yeah, yeah,
Lightning
no,
Shield
definitely.
with Kerrigan works really well.
So I think if you're hashtag believe right now, you're thinking, okay, if we want a specific tank, we have to pick it now because it's etc probably going to be banned, and they're going to go with Lunara. I like this pick. I think you have the ability to do a lot of damage to the skeletal defenders, but also you've got
Mm-hmm.
some great chase down potential against Thrall. Like there's a lot of good 1v1 potential there for Lunara, so I'm liking that pick.
Yeah, no, I like that pick as well. And we saw Lunara do a lot of damage, even though Bang Bang lost in that first game. We saw Lunara do a ton of damage, just in general. Just such great poke. The poison, netting kills that may have gotten away. So I really like it. ETC banned out from the side of Pepperidge Farms remembers. They've got their tank already. They just want to get rid of that.
Yeah, I think when you pick Johanna that early, it sort of tips your hand that you're considering the midpoint ETC ban, which is why I pointed out I think if hashtag believe wanted it, they were going to have to pick it, but went for Lunara instead. I don't think that's necessarily a bad idea because there are plenty of other tanks on the table. There's lots of other configurations that we could go here also. Like you don't even need a traditional tank necessarily with the Kerrigan. You could go for
Mm-hmm.
more of like a Arthas style, which we've seen in EU especially. So I guess we'll see. But they've got two picks right now with Kael'thas off the table. There's still plenty of other mages available.
Yeah, there's a lot of other stuff that we could see out of him. Li Ming still on the table. She seems to be the go-to mage right now.
I thought Jaina might make a comeback.
Yeah, we've seen some Jaina.
Yeah.
But not quite as much as I thought we were gonna see.
Yeah. Oh, and
well, some is still some, right?
We got the Thrall Jaina combination, lore combination. I like it. So yeah, I think this actually could work out pretty well. Kerrigan can be bothered by the slows and potentially the root. I don't think we'll see the root, but sometimes you do see it. And even the poke is pretty good against Lunara, because if you can hit her with like a Frostbolt and then land a Blizzard, that's so much damage. She does not have a lot of health. So
yeah, Blizzard on the shrines, not a horrible thing either. You can get it from range, and it's got 3 waves now. So especially if you have Johanna condemning and bringing those people together, or those little minions together, you can get a lot of value out of that. And then we're going to see Brightwing. I like this choice of support on this map just because of how big it is, and then you can leave her laning in an opposite lane of the shrine spawn, and then just to have her teleport in when you actually really need her.
Yeah, and I think this also leaves quite a few options open for them for their last pick also. We know they needed to pick a support, but if they want to see these last 2 picks from #Believe, and they have somebody who feels like they could, play a number of things in response to it, I really like this move as a result, if that's the case, because Brightwing is all around, but like there are other things you can do. We've seen Brightwing Oriel before. We could even, I don't think Tassadar is especially good here because you don't really have the archetypal, going for the backline melee assassin, but that's also a possibility. Like they really have a lot of options. I expect to see probably a more auto attack based range. And my goodness.
Okay, so all that stuff you're thinking about, just throw it out the window. Because we got Diablo Gul'dan.
Okay, so we have all the orcs in this game.
So for those of us who those of you who just watched us play our quick match in between Share League games, you'll know how hard it is to synergize Diablo and Kerrigan combos.
To be fair, I made it look a lot more difficult than it would be with an organized roster, but yeah, you do need to know.
It's a lot of, you've got to have a lot of communication to make those work right. But when you do, if you get a Diablo overpower and then a charge back straight into a Kerrigan combo, that person is most likely dead.
You know what okay, and we're going to get a double support from Pepperidge Farm Remembers. That's a lot of healing and
a lot
the divine
of sustain.
build.
We'll probably see more of a damage-oriented Brightwing build then. Probably Emerald Wind, maybe some of her Q talents as well.
I like Emerald Wind against this comp, so would be good to see for sure. I actually had never thought of the Gul'dan Diablo combination, because being able to keep someone in place for a long period of time helps Gul'dan do a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot of corruption stacks you can do.
Plus, you think about Horrify, and if you're moving into a team that has Diablo and Kerrigan, you're probably not moving out. Like, unless your team wins the fight, like, the Diablo can do so much to you. Like, as soon as it ends,
you
can
might
flip
be
you
dead
over.
Before your team can even react to that.
Yes, I agree. That's a strong
possibility. We do have a Divine Shield, though, over on the side of Pepperidge Farms.
So Uther needs to make sure that he does not also get hit by the Horrify, basically. Yeah. Because otherwise we could see a CC chain that could eliminate, especially if Uther's moving away from the fight. Like, that's really bad for that team. But I don't know. Like, none of these heroes have what I would consider to be, like, burst damage. Gul'dan's weird. He's like a sustained damage mage in many ways. Kerrigan has some burst, but, like, not anywhere near a lot of other melee assassins. And Lunara can get bursty, but again, it feels like very sustained, spread out damage a lot of the time.
To be honest, though, #Believe is a pretty beefy team.
Yeah.
For the most part. Kerrigan's got a lot of beef with shields. Diablo's pretty beefy. Gul'dan is very beefy for an assassin. Rhaegar's fairly sturdy. Lunara's really the only one who's not that sturdy, but she's got an amazing front line.
Yeah, and the more I think about it, it's sort of like Pepperidge Farm is going to have to play very consistently in fights, because Thrall and Jaina have to carry the bulk of the damage responsibilities here. So they're going to need to fight a long fight where they do a lot of damage and don't overextend to the point where they get CC'd. So it's going to be a very interesting team fight situation. And it's going to be interesting just because we have Gul'dan and Diablo, honestly.
Yeah. So on the side of #Believe, we have Dagny on Kerrigan, Dav on Rhaegar, Jestrin on Diablo, Lompico on Gul'dan, and Yummy Cupcake on Lunara.
That reminds me of that time that Zoya said cute dryad giggles on screen because we're talking about Lunara. Yummy Cupcake. But on the side of Pepperidge Farm members, we've got Hardwood playing Brightwing, Afro Puff 9000 on Thrall, Flava Flav will be playing Jaina, M-Dub on Johanna, and Nuka on Uther.
Here's the classic NA, everybody just brawl in the middle for a little while.
Yeah, it's nice if you can get a couple kills, get a little bit of an experience lead, and maybe force someone to lose XP. That does not happen very often in competitive play because it is possible to get up there usually right away. And Gul'dan going to do a little bit of poking.
One thing, Josh, I want you to do, I want to keep an eye on this Brightwing talent build.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be interesting, especially with this double support, because I almost feel like Brightwing's going to have to build a little more damage, or else they're not going to have enough just between Thrall and Jaina.
And Thrall is actually the solo lane against a Lunara. That can be very rough. Yeah, it could definitely be rough, so you need to be careful. Dav in the bottom going to get hit by the Hammer of Justice. Gets flipped over. Nuka now in some trouble. Dav forward gets hit, and he is going to just, barely escape. 200 health.
The tower damage was really taking its toll right there. They got a little too close without the minion wave. That allowed Pepperidge Farms to soak a little bit more in the middle. They're making rotations right now. It looks like they're going to be doing a 4-1.
Yep. That's probably not surprising. Each team has a good solo lane, so Lompico in a little bit of trouble here. It looks like he might get collapsed on, but Jestrin will show up to dissuade that. I do want to point out, Gul'dan took Echoed Corruption. That's the E-Quest talent at level 1. And at this point, he only has 4 stacks of the 35 required stacks. But I think especially with some of the heroics that we'll see come into play for #Believe, there's definitely a possibility to build those up quickly.
Afro Puff taking a lot of damage up here on the top. Lunara's really taking it to him, and this is kind of what we talked about. We figured Lunara should have an advantage in that lane. Shrine is up. Everyone's posturing right now. Pepperidge Farms with not as much of a lead as I thought. #Believe doing a really good job cleaning those up. Jestrin, though, gets stuck in the back. Nice body blocks, and even though Kerrigan had a nice 3-person impaling blades, it was not enough. And Pepperidge Farms will look to take this shrine back over.
Yummy Cupcake, almost gets hit by the Jaina flank, but will avoid it. And now there's so much damage from the Blizzard. And Dav will fall. Dagny is going to get out of here. Cupcake pressing his luck, doing some damage to Nuka. He gets hit by the stun, but really no follow-up there. And still, though,
oh my gosh, Yummy Cupcake! It's gonna fall to Afro Puff, but a nice Kerrigan combo. Not gonna be able to follow that up as she's just a little too low. Lompico kind of toying with Fate too, and this is one of the strengths we're seeing come out of Pepperidge Farms, of the double support team. You've got the burst heals from Uther to deal with some of the Kerrigan damage, and then you've got the pulse heals of Brightwing to deal with that poison damage.
And now we do have Pepperidge Farm actually taking the lead, but the combo on the Hardwood, he's taking so much damage. He will get away. Lompico will fall, and that means that Pepperidge Farm should be able to secure the... But actually, Hardwood getting pushed off. Afro Puff very low, also under 200 HP. Dav
they just can't finish these kills. Lunara is back. Yummy Cupcake trying to get damage onto Flava Flav, but it looks like Pepperidge Farms will be the one to secure the shrine, although they did get Uther out of the deal.
Yes, they did. And one of the things about that fight that strikes me is that they were behind on the Skeletal Defenders for so long, even after they had gained control of it. The poke from Lompico and Yummy Cupcake was a lot, so something to watch in future fights. We will get the John Cena jumping over the wall. He's going to fall pretty quickly. This actually did very little. Yeah. I didn't even get
This is really good for #Believe, although the problem is right now, they're down by 3 kills, and so that experience lead is almost a level ahead in the favor of Pepperidge Farms. And the problem with that last fight is they had a lot of good moves, but they couldn't secure so many of those kills, and a lot of that was the double support.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the double support, we will see it have a stronger impact early game.
Oh, yeah.
So we need to see Pepperidge Farm doing well now with their composition. If they had lost that fight handily, it would have been a very worrying prospect for them. And honestly, even winning it narrowly as they did could potentially be cause for concern, so something to watch.
Yeah, both teams almost on the same talent tier. A beautiful Kerrigan combo onto Flava Flav. The rest of his team wasn't quite there. He has to back up. Johanna trying to body block as well as she can and doing a really good job. And all of Pepperidge Farms will walk out of that one.
Yep, and I actually want to point out one talent thing here, TBK. We have Cleanse from Uther,
Okay.
but Brightwing is not going very aggressively at all. In fact, Brightwing is playing as if they were the solo healer for this team so far for the talent. So
It is very interesting.
It is
what
a
about our
weird
Uther?
It's a W build so far for Uther, which is a little bit like some of these are definitely.
Damagey-ish?
Yeah, the Boundless Conviction I think is definitely something you see
Flava
occasionally, but
Flava Flav up top. The Kerrigan stun missed though, and it looks like Flava Flav will get away from that gank attempt. The top middle shrine, excuse me, is spawning right now in just a few seconds, and I think this is really going to kind of lay the groundwork for how the rest of the game is going to go with this fight being on even talent tiers.
yeah, exactly. This is going to be an even talent tier fight. I think the double support is still good this early before heroics come out, but we'll have to see. Lompico walks forward, and Jestrin dashes in. Looks like they want to try and isolate this Brightwing, but it's not really going to happen. So much blizzard damage. Dagny's just trying to get out of here. They will fall. Jestrin will also fall. The poke from Yummy Cupcake, though. He wants to finish off this Thrall. I'm not sure he's going to get it. Dav will fall also. Yummy Cupcake, Polymorph isolated from the team, is just going to get out of here, TBK.
Honestly, so much of that fight was blizzard.
Yeah.
Everyone was lumped in. Flava Flav threw the blizzard down, hit 3 people with at least 2 waves. Like, you just cannot stand in that blizzard that long. And M-Dub did a really good job using that condemn to pull it in, and everyone just kind of surrounded and body blocked people in while the blizzard was falling.
Here's something I want to... Actually, it looks like we have a re-engage here. So Yummy Cupcake doing a little bit of poke. Jestrin also here.
We do have level 10, though.
Oh,
coming
yeah,
out
this
from
is so
Pepperidge
dangerous.
Farm, so
It
this
is
is a little
Emerald
dangerous.
Win. It is Emerald Win and Ring of Frost. So Jestrin goes in, trying to isolate Afropuff, does so. Ring of Frost will land, and already Lunara is dead. Lunara is down, and Rhaegar follows. Jestrin is trying to get out of here. Lompico just building some stacks as the enemies pursue. But yeah, that, again, another unfortunate team fight for Hashtag Believe.
Yeah, getting the Thrall was good considering how far behind they were. That was a decent chunk of XP. Unfortunately, they're still not 10. They lost 3 more people there, so it's now 2 to 10, and they really just need to get this level 10 before the Punisher engage, because it looks like the team's going to at least push a little bit with it.
So we have neither healing ult. We have also Divine Storm, which I missed in the middle of that fight, but it was used.
Which is awesome.
I love it. I remember the old days when that was the one to pick. So John Cena, again, being baited over the wall here, falling very quickly. Jestrin and Lompico in front of their team, taking quite a bit of damage. Great Apocalypse will hit too. And now there's so much damage going to Afropuff. I'm sorry, you've been suplexed. The Sunder will delay his death, but he will fall to the poison. However, Lunara also falls as M-Dub lands the conviction. However, that conviction has also led him to his death.
Yeah, and that was actually a really great turnaround. 1-for-2 fight. They were able to finish the Punisher off and keep the fort intact. So really good defense on the side of Believe.
That was a great defense, especially considering the circumstances. We do have Leaping Strike for Lunara again. So we're seeing a little bit of that unorthodox Leaping Strike style. And I do want to point out, Lompico has finished his quest. So Echoed Corruption is complete. So now it will return in the opposite direction. Especially
with a lot more damage.
And especially with Apocalypse on the table, there's a lot of potential to get those extra hits to land.
Afro Puff on top, taking a lot of damage. Rhaegar moving in. Brightwing's going to teleport up. Nuka is up there as well, just to make sure that he's going to stay healthy. It's going to be really interesting to see if this double support ends up falling off later game to the superior damage of Believe, or if the sustain will be long enough that they can just outlast him.
Well, now I'm just worried about the CC because they don't have a Divine Shield. So, yes, they have a Cleanse and they have Phase Shield, but also you probably don't want to phase shift into the situation of whoever is being CC'd, because that's probably a very dangerous position anyways. So now I'm really more worried about the CC train, not seeing a Divine Shield on the side of Pepperidge Farm.
Believe doing a really good job at kind of evening this XP gap, even though they're down by 7 kills. Lunara, the stun train going on. Apocalypse goes down, but unfortunately it's going to be too late. Several members of Believe have fallen. Lampico running for his life, but he is going to fall as well. Jestrin, the only member left up, and he's just going to have to back off. And this Shrine seems like it's going to be a fairly easy Pepperidge Farms unless Believe can really pull back.
They might have enough time to contest it, but unfortunately they did a couple of things in that last fight which will hurt their chances. They don't have Apocalypse and they don't have Horrify. And Horrify didn't do anything, unfortunately. The Apocalypse actually did get some results. It didn't result in kills, but it wasn't wasted.
It was too late.
Yes, but the Horrify was like way too late. There's no way that really anything was
They
gonna
also fought that a talent tier down.
Yeah.
Which was definitely not to their advantage. They are going to try and contest this as much as they can. They are on the same talent tier. There's still a decent amount of ults. Maelstrom still up. Ancestral Healing still up. They have a decent chance, and this is what they need to go for. 25 on the side of Pepperidge Farms, and they're moving in right now.
Oh, big Kerrigan combo. Afro Puff getting isolated. He gets destroyed. The Blizzard trying to push away Believe, but it's not going to happen for now. So much damage. The Ancestral will land on Jestrin. Kerrigan... Oh, wow, Kerrigan didn't fall. Sorry, again, that bug. Thrall will go down there.
Yeah. Lunara ended up getting separated because of the Emerald Wind, and they were able to pick her off. But a really good job, I believe, to come back and stun this. But the Ring of Frost goes down. Gul'dan going to completely blow up. Dagny taking so much damage, he's going to die as well. Apocalypse is going down, but it's almost more defensive, just trying to get Dav and himself out of there. But unfortunately, Dav walks right into the snowstorm, and he is going to fall as well, with Jestrin being the only one left, and the Punisher will go to Pepperidge Farms.
The Divine Storm into Ring of Frost is so dirty. I mean, like, you never see that, because you just don't see Divine Storm nowadays, but... That has been their sauce.
So much, and there it is again. There's so much CC on the side of Pepperidge Farms.
Yeah.
And that's allowing that Blizzard to get so much more value.
The one thing I want to note, too, is that Diablo was picked into Brightwing, and in a few of these engagements, I've just seen Diablo immediately get wow and Yummy Cupcake. Wow.
It's just the stun train marches on, and then there's a Blizzard waiting for you.
Yeah.
As soon as you get out. Like, there's...
And the polymorph, there's a lot, so much. And now this Arcane Punisher has a good chance, with still one down on the side of #Believe, of taking out this keep. They're going to poke at it. They got to be careful. The stun, Dav now being focused, and yeah, he's going to go down.
That's all they need. They just need a small opening. The Punisher gives it, and bam, CC train, you're gone. Yeah, you cannot get caught out with this team, or you are going to die.
Yeah, like the John Cena stomp on top of all the CC on the side of Pepperidge Farm remembers. It's so obscene. Like that, you got the setup, really you got the free kill from John Cena, basically.
And not only that, you've got Critterize now on the side of Brightwing. So that's a 25% vulnerability to whoever's polymorphed. If you weren't dead fast enough already, that's certainly going to do it. And now Pepperidge Farms, being the talent to your head, being almost 3 levels up, can kind of just murk to their heart's content.
Oh, they have Shrink Ray on Uther at 13 too. Like, there's so many ways to isolate somebody. And so now I feel like #Believe down to talent here. They got to get back to 16, and then they need to find a kill fast in these fights. It seems like the longer they go on, the more value that Jaina gets, and then somebody gets CC'd until they die. So
they need a strong pick. They need to be able to blow somebody up. There is no Divine Shield, and there is no big heal. So if they can get to somebody and blow them up before the CC starts, the problem is Pepperidge Farms just has the fight on their terms. Ring of Frost goes down, and Gul'dan is going to fall. The Ancestral does not land. Jestrin trying to pull back out. The port from Brightwing does not do anything. Yummy Cupcake up top trying to poke. He's not going to be able to move in. The Shrink Ray, the Emerald Wind, Diablo falls, and...
Oh, Nuka falls to the fourth, though. He wanted to kill badly. He wanted it. I'll give him that. So
at the same time, though, all these fights are just taking place on Pepperidge Farms' term. The Engage was made by Pepperidge Farms. The Apocalypse by Diablo was almost kind of just a reactionary oh crap type thing, and his team wasn't in position to capitalize on the few people that got stunned by it.
You know, one thing that I think I've been seeing a lot is that things like Divine Storm, Ring of Frost, those are very good when you're in a closed location, like in the gaps around the shrine. I wonder if maybe #Believe might not try and take a fight with the enemy in rotation between lanes, but now they have no choice. They must contest this shrine. Yeah.
They're on the same talent tier. This is their best option, and there's the huge burst. That's what I wanted to see. Hardwood goes down, Thrall goes down, and now they're on the offensive. Leaping Strike, Yummy Cupcake, kind of a little too aggressive.
Overzealous, shall we say. And the Ancestral will save Jestrin. That was very ambitious from Yummy Cupcake, trying to make the big plays.
I mean,
he already made a big one.
Yeah, this is good. They're still ahead. They should be able to get this Punisher. They should be able to get a little push in, but they would have had a little bigger advantage if Yummy Cupcakes had been just a little more cautious, especially without a second leap to go back when you're going in that close to towers still.
I was going to say, somebody has to go back and clear this. There's a Fallen Shaman camp here. There's 2 catapults.
Yep. Dagny and Dav are back. They have to clear this thing. Those catapults are rough. Everyone else is trying to push with the Punisher as much as they can. They might be able to get a fort out of this. They got both the towers. Any sort of XP they can use to catch up is going to be good. Brightwing ports in, though, and unfortunately, they're just not going to get a lot. They got 3 towers and a gate out of this. It's better than nothing. They needed the XP, but they're still 2 levels behind, and now Pepperidge Farms is 20.
Yeah, now this is the long winter for #Believe. They better not stop believing, because they've got a little while to get to level 20 here, and it's going to be hard, because there's going to be a shrine, and likely #Believe will not be 20 at that time. So
yeah, and there's the constant threat of that top lane pushing in as well. Now that keep is down so early in the game, they're going to have to really be sure to watch it. They're going to rotate up. They're probably going to get their Shaman camp up here. Dav and Dagny with Yummy clearing this mid camp. All of Pepperidge Farms down on the bottom, clearing that camp out. Hopefully they can take this camp, they can clear top lane a little bit, and then the Shaman camp will be able to push back some so they won't have to worry about it as much. But both teams just kind of stalling until the next Shrine phase comes up.
Yeah, I actually like the decision to take this Fallen Shaman camp. It's easy to look at this and say, like, okay, well, it's not going to free push during an objective. It's probably just going to get cleared out. But at the same time, they need to deny it, because if they have to fight over it, they're probably going to lose down talent here. But now Jestrin, way ahead of his team, rooted. The Apocalypse goes out, getting some good value. The Ancestral does connect. Afro Puff in a lot of trouble, trying to get out of there. Emerald Wind saving Flava Flav. He's trying to get out of there. He will fall. On the other side, Rhaegar is down, and the Horrify is pushing Johanna into the enemy team. Indestructible Pop.
Those level 20 talents.
And now Yummy Cupcake just on the retreat. Jestrin trying to bully his way out. Oh, they managed to pick up Thrall. And Hardwood will fall too.
Oh, wow.
My goodness, they just won that fight down a talent tier, TBK.
They did. Absolutely incredible play by them. Jestrin went in the end and just soaked up so much of the initial damage. The Ancestral landing on him, bringing him back to full health. Lunara, such a huge part of that entire fight. She was poking on the edges so much. Got Flava Flav out of the way, even though the Emerald Wind sort of saved him. The poison just completely killed him at the end. And Diablo, there was so much focus on Diablo that Lunara and Gul'dan were able to free cast most of the time.
And Gul'dan got so much value during that.
Oh, the corruption, the horrify.
Yeah, the horrify secure to kill. He was able to do what he wanted with his corruption. Like, it honestly, when Gul'dan is not focused, when he's not forced to make really hard decisions, it seems like he can actually output quite a bit of damage. I think we saw that.
Very, very sustained damage. That fight was not short. That fight was a very extended fight, and that's the kind that Gul'dan really thrives in. And now we have level 20s on the side of #Believe. Omega Storm. Storm Shield from Rhaegar, which should be really good. Bolt of the Storm from Diablo. Haunt, which is vulnerability, which should be really nice. And another Galloping Gate, so extra movement speed. This fort should go down fairly easily. This is a fairly strong Punisher 20 minutes into the game, and they're going to try and push this as far as they can, get the picks. Afro Puff pulling back. Pepperidge Farms just really needs to pull back, get that Punisher baited over. They've got the defense here if they play smart.
Yeah, that was actually a nice attempt to bait by Afro Puff. He ran forward to try and get people to follow him. He didn't actually get anything from it, but it really looked to me like he was trying to bait the enemy team. Nuka way ahead, throws Hammer of Justice on Jester and nothing. The Sun Ring goes out. The counter Apocalypse will connect. Emdub way ahead of his team, taking a lot of damage. Now Nuka in the middle of it, drops Divine Storm. He's low, he has to get out. Huge Ring of Frost connecting. The Ancestral will not connect. Gul'dan falls. Dav is trying to run for his life. Dagny cannot secure the kills. Cupcake falls. And this is looking like it will be it actually is a full team wipe. But
Dav got away. Dav got away.
Yeah, you're right, he did. Okay.
Wow.
But
Diablo is back up. He's soul res. So this is big. But the problem is we're at 40 plus second res timers. The whole of Pepperidge Farms is moving around. There is that kill zone. There's no keep in the top. They're moving around to it. And Jester and Dav have to know this. Both porting back right now.
Yeah, the keep. I mean, getting that camp is good, but I'm not sure how much they can do. They're going to try and isolate Flavor Flav.
They just need to hold off until Gul'dan is up. They're doing a really good job. They're not focusing the core. They're actually putting damage out onto the people right now. They might be able to stall it long enough. Gul'dan is up.
Horrify is up. Watch for that. Ooh, Emerald Wind goes out. Lompico looking for the Horrify. Oh, the corruption doing so much damage to the core does fall. It was so close. Like,
it was
you were
so
right.
close.
You're right. They were so close to being able to just heal everybody with that Horrify.
If Pepperidge Farms had waited just 5 or 10 more seconds to make that call to go in, I think that Believe would have been able to defend that.
Yeah. I actually wonder if because they went to that camp and captured it, and I wonder if they had been back, because there was a little bit of free damage there. Not a lot, mind you, but a little bit. I also wonder if that could have been enough, but yeah,
it would have been really close. Like it's tough, right? If they had one more person alive, I think they could have made that defense work. But just Rhaegar and Diablo, there's just not a lot you can do to kill somebody quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It was very close, and the Gul'dan, I didn't actually see the Horrify there at the end, but it was something that was available, and I actually don't think it got thrown. I'm just seeing the replay now. Yeah, I don't think it got thrown out. But that's another thing that maybe could have turned the tide there at the end.
Honestly, just looking at this kill count, you wouldn't think that #Believe did as well as they did. Yeah. I mean, they really were starting to come together late game and getting what we were talking about earlier, getting those like insta picks where they just blow somebody up before Pepperidge Farms had a chance to react to it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the other thing is Pepperidge Farms lost that team fight, right? While they were up, they had 20 talent tier, and it felt like maybe at that point, I believed. I #believed.
Yes.
For a fleeting moment.
I did too.
but it didn't work out there. That last team fight was pretty
I
disastrous.
do want to
for
point
them.
out, look at that Gul'dan damage.
Oh yeah,
Like,
it was huge.
Gul'dan pumped out some serious dips.
I was watching his damage throughout the game, and whenever there was one of those long, drawn out team fights, it would go up substantially.
Oh, yeah.
So that's really, I think, an interesting niche. It's not one that we see employed too much, honestly, in like high level competitive play.
Mm-hmm.
But I actually don't think that the Gul'dan pick was what. Like, I don't think that was part of the problem.
No, I thought Gul'dan actually did extremely well in that situation.
I would agree. I would agree.
But GG's to Pepperidge Farms. Some great play. I really was a pretty big fan of the double support. I really liked it. The Emerald Wind was super key in several of those team fights, saving and splitting teammates 2 or 3 times.
I think when you run double support, you need to know what your secret sauce is in team fights. And for Pepperidge Farm Remembers, that was often Divine Storm into Ring of Frost.
Mm-hmm.
And when that landed, it felt like #Believe could not win a team fight. Because it was just, the Uther was not afraid to get up in the face of opponents, Divine Storm 2-3 of them, and then a huge Ring of Frost, and at that point, it's like, what do? There's going to be a Blizzard on top of you, you're taking so much damage, and it just feels like you almost have to turn and run, even with some of the beefy characters that we had on the side of #Believe.
I want to give huge props to just Pepperidge Farms in general. They had their CC train down to a science. Like, it was just so well done. There was just stun, and then a Blizzard just waiting right at the end of that.
Yeah, and I think on the other side, if we look at #Believe, I felt like the early game, the Kerrigan combos were more important, and later game, I don't know, they just didn't. The Diablo Kerrigan interplay didn't seem to have the same impact that we saw, and I think part of that was the sustain that we talked about, but you're right, the CC chains from Pepperidge Farms, they were huge.
Yeah, they're extremely good. All right, well, big grats to